that's what I think God has for us is he wants our bodies to be healthy and strong. Why? Well, one, it feels good, but probably the main reason is he designed us to care for others.
Welcome to The Home and the Maker, sharing advice and encouragement about all topics homemaking and homesteading, and honoring the maker in all of it. Join Megan from Shine.fm for today's conversation.
There's an ever-growing push towards eating food that is cleaner, whether that means no additives, no preservatives, or simply that it is organic. But we know that the closer that food is to its whole state or its purest state is going to be the most beneficial for us. But there's also way more supplements. As you walk through the grocery store aisles, you see all these supplements, and it can be overwhelming. And you may even ask, with some of the big words that you see on the boxes, what even is this? And so to answer some of these questions, I am so excited to bring into the Ackerman Family Podcast Studio for the very first time, the very first video podcast for The Home and the Maker. But we have joining us today is Dan Chapman, who is from Shine.fm Impact Partner Sunrise Health Foods. So thank you for being here today, Dan.
Oh my gosh, it's great to be here. Episode 1, or
yes.
at least live studio number 1.
The first one, yes, for sure. So this is a family company, Sunrise Health Foods. You've kind of taken over it. You also have your own brand of supplements called Remedies. So if someone goes on your website, they can easily see the history of how this all came to be. But would you mind sharing it here as well?
Absolutely. So the origin story for my family starts with my mom. And a really long time ago, back in the 1950s, my mom is a young lady in her 20s, newly married to my dad. And as a young adult, her body, for whatever reason, just started to, let's just say, not respond appropriately. She started having all kinds of different health challenges that didn't make sense. And they were mostly manifested in anxiety and fatigue, and that develops into depression when you live like that long enough. And none of it made sense. And so like today, anxiety, emotional health, we're more willing to talk about those things today. But this is the 1950s, a young lady who didn't even have the right words to like go to the doctor and say, here's what's going on, because it changes from one day or one moment to the next. And so at that time, for better or worse, the doctors didn't really have answers for her. And there was a lot of suggestions like, you're stressed, take time off, slow down, and maybe even a little bit of, this is a lot in your head. And my mom knew without question that her feelings were real, that life shouldn't be this way. There has to be a solution. And she was determined to find it. And so I'm summarizing years, right? And at one moment, it was a dentist that suggested that my mom look at her diet, recommended some changes that made no sense to her. Again, 1950s. And we would call the diet today an elimination diet. So he was basically saying, go down to extremely simple foods and catalog and note like everything you're eating and how you're feeling. And my mom thought, this is ridiculous, but he's the only one that seems to be convinced he has an answer, and nothing else I've done has worked for years. So she starts this diet, and she's shocked. Within days, her body started to feel different. And it was the first time in my mom's life that she made, like, this light bulb went off, this moment of, oh, so if I put it in my body, I'm going to feel different. Like, what a connection, And so that started a lifelong journey of my mom looking into food and how it's grown and how it's harvested and how it's processed and all of that stuff that we kind of know today. It's a little more popular, but she was a pioneer in what she did, and she literally transformed her life, as well as, thousands and thousands of other people along the way. And so I grew up with a mom who was really passionate about food and health and nutrition. I love the fact that I grew up that way. I have some unbelievable stories about what my mom fed me. We probably won't go into those today, but I fell in love with it as a young kid, really, going to the health food store with my mom because they started Sunrise Health Foods in 1961. And, so here I am as a 9-year-old helping customers find apple juice and talk to them about different things. And I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So growing up this way, now today, how do you approach processed foods? Like, do you choose to like indulge here and there? Do you like, especially as I know you have kids, I'm sure they love all the sugary things too, but like, what is your mindset towards that today?
Yeah. So, it's hard to, if I can distill it down to a couple of rules that I try to live by as much as possible, is the number one thing in our diet that I think all of us need to do less of is just purely sugar.
Okay.
It's not any more complicated today than it
Yeah.
was a long time ago. We consume on average about 142 pounds of sugar a year.
Wow.
Every American. That is an unbelievable amount of
Yeah.
sugar. It's about 700% more than what we probably ought to be consuming.
Okay.
And sugar has a catastrophically negative impact on the body and emotions, for that matter. So, I mean, back to anxiety and the way we feel. 88% of Americans, right? 88% of us are metabolically unhealthy.
Okay.
Sugar's the cause.
Wow.
So,
Okay. That pretty much answers the question I had for you later. But with your supplements,
Yes.
so was that something, I believe that was something you specifically started. So bring me through, okay, we need a supplement line. And start there.
yeah. So I started Red Remedies. Actually, it's been 20 years ago now. And it really started out of me wanting to help my customers in the aisles of Sunrise Health Foods more effectively. And so 20 plus years ago, there were very few herbal formulas on the market. Customers were coming in with complex health issues, and I am sitting here in the aisle of a store trying to sell them 3 or 4 or 5 bottles of something to fix a specific problem, like, say, neuropathy or gout or anxiety for that matter. And it's difficult for anybody to follow the directions that I felt like I needed to give to really fix the problem. And so in many cases, people would walk away with one bottle, which was a limited solution. And so I wasn't helping them as effectively as I needed to. I also felt like, and I know as a fact, that I wanted a supplement formula that was going to be designed in a way to truly get results in not marketing fluff and hype. And that was true 20 plus years ago. It's even more true today. So there are some things that we do at Red Remedies that are very different than other traditional supplement companies. I only make formulas to solve health challenges. And the premise is very basic. Everybody wants good health.
Amen.
And the truth is most of us struggle.
Yeah.
And why do we struggle? We struggle because of stress. Stress is really hard on our bodies. Because of toxins in the world that we live in, whether it's the water we drink, the air we breathe, the food we eat, on and on. And the fact that our bodies are toxic, we're having a hard time getting toxins out of the body. And so if we can put a formula together that works on those 3 things, where we're going to nourish, support, and create balance in the body the way God designed our bodies to work, right? I believe he designed us to be healthy, given the right nutrients in the right environment. We can heal all kinds of things that we didn't think was possible. And so we design formulas from a truly whole body, holistic perspective to help your body do what God created it to do in the first place.
That's awesome. So if someone looks on your website, they see a master herbalist is formulating these things. So tell me what a master herbalist does.
So this is one of the things that is very unique about Red Remedies. People ask me all the time, what about this supplement, Dan? What do you think about this one? And I say, well, the first thing that you should look at for a supplement company to decide if you want to take that product is ask the question, who's formulating the product and who is in charge of sourcing the herbs? And you would be shocked to realize that it's less than 1% of supplement companies have anybody on their staff that have any education at all in herbs.
That's a problem.
Supplements are generally formulated by doctors, and I love doctors. They're wonderful people, but they don't have an education in herbs and nutrition. So they're smart people. They might know a part or a component of the body. They oftentimes don't know the body holistically. And even if they do, they don't have an education in herbs. Or they're oftentimes just formulated by marketers who are looking at, something that's going to sell and putting it together in that fashion. So a master herbalist, our master herbalist, her name is Stacy Littlefield. We've worked together since day one at Red Remedies. She has an undergrad in biology and a master's degree in herbal medicine. So it's not a certificate or a couple of books read. It's a master's degree in herbal medicine, and that's what she studies. And so
awesome.
Stacy and I have a very specific formulation process we follow. She leads that process today, and she sources the herbs and is in charge of quality control, and that is essentially important.
I love that. And something also seeing on your website, I was like, I love that you're focused on the purity and the quality. It's not just sourcing it to sell it, but it's the purity and the quality that's going into our bodies. So I love that too. So you talked about sugar being something that a lot of people consume in their diet that we should avoid. But what is something that you would say most people don't have in their bodies or don't consume regularly as a part of the diet that should be in the diet?
So where I'll go to that is people will also ask me often, hey, if I'm going to take just one supplement, what should it be, right? And I think that kind of answers your question. And the way that I would go there is I would use, people usually expect me to say a multivitamin. That's not actually where I would start. I would start with some herbs that are known as adaptogens. And I use adaptogen herbs in a number of our formulas. An adaptogen is a small class of herbs. So it's not the name of an herb. It's a class of herbs. And there's only a small number of herbs in this classification. And adaptogen herbs have a unique ability to help protect our body from the negative impact of stress. So just think for a moment about the last time you were stressed and you could feel it. Okay, so we have a feeling, but what we don't oftentimes understand is that feeling has a cascade that lasts in your body for 8 to 12 hours.
Wow.
And your body needs to deal with the cascade of hormones that are produced during a stress response. It's not just, I had a stressful moment and I'll move on. I mean, God designed amazing bodies to deal with stress, but there's a cost to it. So these herbs help minimize the cost. And so I've got 2 formulas in particular that I would start somebody on. One is called True Energy. And that one I would use for the individual. This one might skew a little bit more male, but not necessarily. These are not male-female specific, but it will skew a little bit more male personality. So the individual who is generally good energy, but looking for more, and they're the type of personality that's go, 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 go until they hit a wall. And then they need to take a nap. Right? So True Energy is an adaptogen-based formula that then nourishes adrenal, thyroid, and liver health. And it's designed as a daily nutrient formula to help your body function at a high level. The other one that I would use, so it would be one or the other of these, is At Ease. And this is for the individual. And again, it might skew a little more female, but the person who wears their stress a little more emotionally, maybe a little more anxious, worry, fear, nervousness, that type of thing. And again, adaptogen-based, and then we'll nourish the body a little bit differently based on that. But that's where I would start. So it's herbs that protect us from where I started the conversation a while back of like, what are the things that make the impact? Toxins, stress, and lack of nutrients.
Okay. That's good stuff. So someone who wants to pursue taking a supplement, is that something you should talk to your doctor about? Or, when you say take your health in your own hands, can I confidently go to the supplement store and pick out my own supplements without talking to my doctor? Yeah,
that great question. And I'm not a doctor, so according to U.S. law, I'm not qualified to tell you what to do, right? So that's interesting, the way our laws are written. But again, while I have great respect for doctors, they don't have an education in vitamins, minerals, and herbs. So while they might legally be able to tell you what to do or not do, I don't think they're generally the best source because they don't take time in most cases to study that. If that makes sense. So so we have to do a lot of our own homework. I love going to a local neighborhood health food store and asking questions, but also understanding that I don't think anybody knows your body as well as you do. And so kind of listening to your body, paying attention to that, and getting your information from the what you can find as good sources.
I like that. In some discussions I've had with other podcasts guests before, really, and these guests, really harvesting things out of their own garden, making their own tinctures and supplements, kind of like that. I've heard that you have to take them more frequently to be helpful as far as healing from like a cold or something. So as a supplement is something more that supplements your diet. Do you find that that's kind of the same thing though, where it's maybe not as strong as something that is chemically created or manufactured, but you have to take it more to be successful?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So we design, even when it comes to herbs, we can use herbs that push and stimulate your body. I don't use those types of herbs at Red Remedies either, even though they might be natural.
Yeah.
We use herbs that are going to nourish the body, specific to the target, support the systems involved, and work to restore balance. And that's because I have this hard belief, again, that God designed a body to perform in a certain way. And I think if I give it the right nutrients, it will do what it was created to do. And I've seen it do this over and over.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that process is not slow. Sometimes people think, well, that must be a slower process then. I must need to do this for months before I feel anything. And it's not true. Most of our supplements, you'll feel in 1 day, 2 days, a week. I mean, it depends a little bit on the formula and the problem, but they work generally quickly.
Yeah.
I think that is a better approach than taking a chemically manufactured drug that is going to have a very specific action and a reaction in the body, which is why all drugs have side effects.
Right.
Because if you're pushing the body in a very specific way without, I'll say, the wisdom of food to know how to then bring balance to what's the other ramifications in the body, there's going to be trouble. And there's some herbs that can do a similar thing.
Yeah.
So I don't use pushing herbs. And like one example would be a diuretic. Like I don't use diuretic herbs in my formulas any more than I would want somebody to use a chemically manufactured diuretic.
Okay. Gotcha. Some of the supplements, you already talked about adaptogens. There are 3 words with the letter A that I was like, okay, you're going to answer what these 3 things are. So you already covered adaptogens. What is Ayurveda? So I've seen that as a word, I would say within the past year. I'm like, this word is all of a sudden appearing. What is this word?
So if we look at traditional medicine worldwide, we're talking about herbs. Medicine is herbs. It's really only in America that we consider medicine to be drugs.
Okay.
Other countries are not that way.
Gotcha.
For other countries, herbs are frontline medicine, and it's only later on that they might use a drug.
Okay.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's like the first line of defense.
We
for
need
them.
to flip our mind, right?
Yeah.
So to answer your question about Ayurvedic medicine, Ayurvedic is the Indian, like the country, India.
Yeah.
It's Indian traditional medicine.
Okay.
Which is herbal medicine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So you think about turmeric is a popular herb. Turmeric is from India.
Okay.
So that's where it was studied and became known, and it's been used for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So that is probably the predominant herb, or one of them, in Ayurvedic medicine or Indian medicine.
Yeah. Okay. So the third one, ashwagandha. What is that?
Goodness.
That is so popular these days.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't even know what it is.
So ashwagandha is an adaptogen. Okay, so we can go full circle there.
Okay.
Ashwagandha is a wonderful herb, a wonderful adaptogen. So again, it's an herb that will protect your brain and your body from the negative impact of stress.
Okay.
So what's the result? What happens when you protect your brain and your body from the negative impact of stress? It means that, it'll mean a lot of things.
Yeah.
It means that you could have better energy, that your hormones could be balanced, that your immune system will work better, that your digestive system will work better. Because what happens under stress, and this is a natural, God-designed result of a stress response. When I go through a stress response, my body reprioritizes the use of the energy I have available to me over the next 8 to 12 hours.
Okay.
So my body isn't going to make more energy. Right. It reprioritizes how it will use the energy.
Yeah.
So that means it has to get energy from somewhere to spend it in a different spot.
Yeah.
In a stress response, I need my energy physically and mentally to act and to protect myself.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
So the energy comes from digestion. You shut digestion down because we don't need to eat a meal during a stress response, even though all of us do. Okay? But think about that. So my digestive system changes.
Uh-huh.
I no longer have good, healthy digestion. Not that there's something wrong with my digestive system,
Yeah.
but because my body changed the priority.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in modern living, I use an herb like ashwagandha, and even though I'm still stressed,
Yeah.
it kind of tweaks and changes and says, oh, okay, let's not pull all that energy away from digestion at the moment. You still need that. These herbs adapt to what your body needs.
Gotcha.
So I probably have to talk another 5 hours to explain the rest of that,
Yeah.
but to give you a little sneak peek into that.
That's huge because like my mind goes to like stress-induced IBS or something like
Yes.
that.
Yep.
So that as I'm hypothesizing,
Yes.
having an ashwagandha supplement or something could help you still be able to digest things properly so you're not having
Yes.
a stomach
Yeah,
response.
even though it's not a digestive aid. Like
Okay.
it's not,
Yeah.
but it helps with digestion because it modulates stress.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
So now I bet I have to add one other thing
Okay.
because I know with every herb, herbs also have kind of personalities. And these are not like hard and fast rules, but with ashwagandha, we would look at that herb and say that adaptogen, it skews a little bit masculine. Okay. It's also really good for hormones and testosterone for men.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean a woman can't take it.
Yeah.
But if you said, what's the best adaptogen for me, and you're
Yeah.
a woman, I would not say ashwagandha.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say, a couple of different herbs, like a schizandra probably is the first one that I would use, or something along those
Yeah.
lines. And that's the main adaptogen that I use in At Ease.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So I would recommend At Ease over
Yeah.
a single herb like
Okay.
ashwagandha. So I'm going to give you an adaptogen
Yeah.
suited for that emotion,
Sure.
okay, for that stress type,
Yeah.
and then other nutrients to feed the body
Yeah.
when you're dealing with that type of stress.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And
That's why I
also-
love
yeah.
formulas to solve problems instead of single herbs or a single
Sure.
mineral or so forth.
Yeah. It makes me go, all right. You got to do your research before diving into this.
And that's why I think it's important to have a master herbalist on a team,
Yeah.
or, again,
Sure.
I'm not a master herbalist personally, but I've spent my life doing this.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
That's amazing. To add a supplement, you talked about this, if a supplement isn't necessarily in the budget, what's the next best thing that,
healthy food.
healthy food?
Absolutely.
And obviously not eating sugar like you said before.
Right. And that's the thing is okay, if we're budget friendly,
Yeah.
and I absolutely get it. The first couple of things are drink water, that's free. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't drink enough water. We're drinking
That is
sugary drinks.
Yeah.
So that advice saves you money right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So skip all of the sugary drinks.
My husband will love that you're saying this
Right?
because I don't drink enough water.
And if we don't like the flavor of the water, try herbal teas.
Yeah.
Inexpensive. You can, stretch a tea bag, and you know what I
Sure.
mean? So
Yeah.
the first piece of advice I believe is actually saving you money. And then the second piece of advice is cutting down the sugar
Yep.
beyond the sugary drinks.
Sure.
So that's where we started there.
Yeah.
And then just look at what you're eating overall and try to include foods that are nutrient dense.
Yeah.
Again, without
Yeah.
going hours here.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Now, with it being the winter and
Yeah.
flu season and all the things
Yeah.
going around, is there a supplement that you recommend, or even just something else that's a good addition to a diet in a season like this where there's so many things going around? Like,
Yeah.
what's the number one recommendation you have for that?
I'm going to go back to the same recommendations I
Okay.
made:
Water.
True Energy or At Ease.
Those, yes.
And the reason for that is, what is the other thing that happens under stress? Under stress, short term. So if it's a short term stress response, my body's immediate response is to upregulate my immune system. So it does that because during a stress response, I might get injured, something might happen, my immune system needs to be ready to act.
Sure.
The longer term response for somebody that's in chronic stress, and I would say that's most of us these days, okay,
Yeah.
the immune system is actually downregulated. So now my body's, and this is a natural response in the body. So if my immune system is downregulated, rather than stimulating the immune system, if I go back to that stress response and use these adaptogen herbs,
Yeah.
and I protect from the negative impact of that stress, my body says, oh, well, this feels good. I'll take the immune system and bring it back up to where it belongs.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking about nourishing, supporting, and creating balance, I'm helping your body do what God created and designed it to
Yeah.
do. It's very specific.
Yes. Yeah.
So those supplements, True Energy or At Ease,
yeah.
will help you with 100 things,
Sure.
right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that's the only thing you'll ever take forever, right?
Yeah.
But it is the first line.
Yeah.
So during this winter season,
Yeah.
the best thing I can do to support my immune system is give it freedom to operate the way it's supposed to. Does that make sense?
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. Stress does so much damage. Oh, man. So for someone who's interested in studying these things, I mean, so you have a master herbalist on your team who went that route, but is that kind of the best route to go, is to get a biology degree, and then the master's, you said, was
in herbal medicine.
Herbal medicine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, and I don't even recall off the top of my head what school she got the master's degree in.
I believe it is on your website.
It probably is. I'm sure it is there.
I don't remember it either.
Yeah.
But
But there's a lot of different routes to go, and probably the main thing that it's a lifetime of learning. It really is.
Yeah.
And then what I just love is to take time to then think about, what did I learn, and what do we think God's intention was? Like, how do all the dots connect?
Yeah.
So our body is just marvelously made. I mean, it's unbelievably made. Everything is interwoven and interconnected, and we are at one time very fragile and at the same time just very resilient in the way that God designed us. And so thinking about, what will I take, and what will its action be, and what will the ramifications of that be?
Yeah.
And again, that's why we come back to formulate the way that we do.
Sure.
Is we're studying the body first. We're not saying, oh, there's an herb with the study, how would I use it?
Yeah.
We're using things very intentionally to help our body perform well.
Yeah. So, lifelong learner, what are you currently passionate about learning in this regard?
Okay. And, this is, it might feel like an off-topic, niche, but gout, okay? I just wrote a book called The Gout Lie. We have a formula called Gout that I came out with 16 years ago now to help people with high uric acid that are struggling with gout. And it's a completely misunderstood topic.
Yeah.
And so the Gout Lie basically talks about all of the misunderstandings and misinformation around high uric acid. But I would say the thing that I'm interested here is uric acid is not a conversation just about gout, but that's all people think it is. It's actually a marker in our body that everybody ought to know because uric acid is I'll say the canary in the coal mine for potential trouble with your cardiovascular health, metabolic health, even hormone balance, mental health, and things like that. And so we know that only about 1 out of 25 people in the U.S. will ever get gout, but 1 out of 4 people have high uric acid and no symptoms that they're aware of. The symptoms manifest in some other way.
Yeah.
And so I'm oddly passionate about uric acid and gout at the moment.
Well, hey, someone has to be.
Somebody has to be, yes.
That's amazing. My last question for you. So, I mean, you've touched on this multiple times throughout this conversation, but as you've studied these things, like what has God revealed to you, impressed on you as you've learned about all the properties of these things that God created, but also the amazement of the bodies he's created in us?
Yeah. And gosh, again, it's just that our bodies are marvelous. And the thought that I like to leave people with is that you can feel better. Like your body can heal. So whatever it is you're struggling with, God designed us in a way where it can change and it can get better. And so especially if you've struggled with a health challenge for a long time, we can start to lose the belief that maybe I can ever change. I know sometimes when people hear, my issue is genetic. And so if it's genetic, that means there's nothing I can do. It's just the cards I was dealt. I don't believe that. I've seen bodies change in marvelous ways, even when everybody else said it wasn't possible. And so that's what I think God has for us is he wants our bodies to be healthy and strong. Why? Well, one, it feels good, but probably the main reason is he designed us to care for others. And when we're sick, we have to care for ourselves.
Yeah.
And we need permission to do that for a moment. But we are designed to care for others and to be in community and to be outwardly faced, right?
Sure.
Not inwardly faced.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I think that we all have a wonderful future if we just, care for ourselves maybe a little better sometimes.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time today. All your wisdom, man, I'm like blown away. But thank you so much. If you are interested in looking up Sunrise Health Foods, you can search for that on the internet, of course. Red Remedies is REDD Remedies as well. And thank you so much for listening and watching.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Home and the Maker podcast. And for other podcasts from Shine.fm, visit the Shine.fm podcast channel.